Assalamu alaikum and welcome to new session. Today I am going to discuss about first chapter in history, how, when and where. Few students demanded to explain this chapter again. I read in the comment section of some of the previous videos. So, today I am going to discuss this chapter briefly. This is all about history. And history that generally we know that how those things happen, how such events happen. When, that is important, when. Dates are important to us. And where, location, like country, continent, city, empire, kingdom, capital city, countryside. So all those things we know. Many times the students ask that why history is such important to us. And I have a clear answer about it. We study history. We learn history. Actually, history, that means it's all about the past. And we learn past in present to shape our future. That's all. So today, what we are, who we are, means that we as human beings that we have developed our societies, we have developed the values and all those things, economy and industrialization, urbanization, all those things that we learn from our past. And to understand our present and to shape our future, study of past is necessary. So let's begin with how. How important are dates? Because when we talk about certain events, many times these questions come in mind that when this began, like one of the common questions, when exams began, common questions for students. So there are many questions are there in our day-to-day life. When we drink tea or coffee, that time we think that when it begins to drink, from where and how. So those things are important for us. Living in the world, we do not always ask historical question about what we see around us. That's important. More, all such historical questions refer us back to notions of time. But time does not have to be always precisely dated in terms of particular year or particular month. We can't say that on exactly this day, this year, that the one person, particular person that invented tea, he made a tea. No, that is a gradual process. If we talk about tea, that yes, we know that origins from China, originated in China. Those Chinese people, those who very earlier they began to drink tea. They baked some tender leaves and made tea. But it's not a particular day. So sometimes those we refer as particular period probably of some 1,000 years. Sometimes we take a period of a century, or sometimes we take decades, or sometimes years. And in many cases we have particular dates as well, like independence of our country. Of course, we call that 15th of August, 1947. Similar, Republic Day. So, certain dates we have. And in history, you know that we learn about that various events. Particular king crowned on that day, married on that day, married with her. Right? So those things are important to us. Actually, we don't care about his personal life, how did he live, but we care because his personal life that influence history. That is why important to us. More people in India did not if we talk about tea, they did not begin drinking tea once per day on a particular day. They develop a taste over the time, right? So many events like that, those who took long time, long period. Similarly, we cannot fix one single date on which British rule was established because it is a gradual progress. We know that from 1757, by the Battle of Plassey, that foundation of British rule in India, that we consider it. But it's not like that on the very particular day that British control all over the India. No. It took many years, decades. More here, when? Then do we continue associate history with string dates? This association has a reason. There was a time when history was an account of battles and big events. It was all about rulers, their politics, and historians wrote about the year a king was crowned, the year he married, the year he had child, the year he fought a particular war, the year he died, and the year the next ruler succeeded to the throne. For events such as this, specific dates can be determined. And in histories such as this, debates about this continue to be important. As we know that we know in history, sometimes some students consider this boring because of dates. But dates are important to us. Dates are important in history. So, which dates actually we discuss about? So, by what criteria do we choose sets of dates are important? The dates we select, the dates around which we compose our story of the past, are not important on their own. They become vital because we focus on particular sets of events are important. Date is not important. 15 August is not important. It doesn't matter actually for us. But it matters because on that day that we got our freedom, India became independence. Similar, dates are important because of events occur on that day. More consider an example in history. The historians written by British history in India. The rule of each governor general was important. These histories began with the rule of the first Governor General, Warren Hastings, and ended with the last Viceroy, Lord Mountbatten. Hastings, Wellesley, Bantic, Dalhousie, Cunning, Lawrence, Leighton, Ripon, Curzon, Harding, Irwin. So, all those Governor Generals and Viceroy ruled India. It was a seemingly never ending succession of Governor General and Viceroys. All the dates in history books were linked to their personalities, to their activities, politics, achievements. It was as if there was nothing outside their lives that was important for us to. The chronology of their lives mark as different chapters in British history in India. Today, administrative system in India, parliament and some political systems in India, police systems in India, military, all those systems today we follow. Those systems actually over the time initiated by different governor generals, even education system as well. That is why important to learn about them. We have made our present and we are shaping our future and with the help of history. So when we write history or a story, we divide it into different chapters because characteristics when we tell story, so some significances are same like the beginning, like I went there. So if I narrate a story about a journey, a trip, then my first chapter would like when I left the house. Preparation that means. Because significance, similar here. Then my next chapter would be like journey towards there, toward my destiny. Third chapter means that particular location. Fourth chapter about food, fifth about the culture and so on. Similar, history is all about the different periods to understand in a better way. Like periods which have some significances, some characteristics, similarities. So, how do we periodize? You have learned about it that in 1870, James Mill, a Scottish economist and a political philosopher, published a massive volume, 3 volumes of work, a history of British India. In this, he divided Indian history into 3 periods: Hindu, Muslim, and British. This periodization came to be widely accepted, and British accepted his periodization. Why? Because he divided on the basis of religion. Actually, it's not correct. People believe that divided on the basis of religion, but no. Hindu, he meant that mostly that time India subcontinent ruled by majority of Hindu kings. Social structures, economies were similar in most of the kingdoms and empires. Similar then after Muslim came and they established their rule in the Indian subcontinent. So this time periodized as the Muslim rulers, Delhi Sultanate, and then after Mughal dynasty, and after that British. So British came in India, then they established their rule over it. This is how we periodize. But his periodization criticized by many historians. Yes, accepted by British, but many historians criticized it because how can any period considered as Hindu, Muslim? Sound doesn't good, right? That is why we have some other way, moving away from British classification. Historians have usually divided Indian history like history of the world. Mainly we consider as ancient history. In ancient also there are different periods. In 6th standard you have learnt about it. You had learnt about it. Like Paleolithic, Megalithic, Neolithic in part of ancient time. Similar, so ancient, medieval and modern history. So this division too has its problems because this division periodized borrowed from the West, where the modern period was associated with the growth of all the forces of modernity. Why call modern? Because modern science, vision, democracy, liberty, equality. So such modern things came up in the Europe. West means Europe. So for them, this period that began earlier from the 14th century onwards. And medieval as term used for describe society, where features of modern society did not exist and people lived as a primitive way. So for India, period might different than the Europe. So we generally consider that till 10th century and before that consider as ancient, 11th century onwards, medieval 11th to 14th century. So in 15th century onwards we count as modern history. Actually 1670 some students count as modern history in India. So here there is one more thing that in history we utilize, and in present also we utilize that colonial India, colonial China. What is colonial? So this is a wide phenomenon. When, as just we discussed in modern time in Europe, where science developed, reason, democracy. So that time powerful kingdoms and empires began to explore the world. They had that small empires with limited resources and people. So in search of wealth, they began to explore. So they went on expedition. They found different countries and continents. And those less powerful kingdoms that time, they control over it like India. That is called colonization. They made particular country, particular kingdom as their colony. That is called colonization. They established their power over the kingdom. That is colonization. So India also became colony of British colony as well as Portuguese. So in this book we will, you already have learned many things about the colonial India, right? So here, so about that, how did that British establish their rule in India? What policies they implemented in India, right? So all those things we learn from different sources. So how do we know those things? So we know history from various sources: paintings, architecture, books, administrative records. There are many other, as well as letters, personal diary, travelogue. Many sources we consider for finding out about the past. So, British also felt that all important documents and letters needed to be carefully preserved. That is why we call them. They are smart. They were. So, they set up records room attached to all administrative institutions: the village tehsildar's office, the collector, the commissioner's office, the provincial secretaries, law court, all had their record rooms. Specialized institutions like archive and museums were also established to preserve those records. So this is all about how, when, and when, and how did they recorded those documents, and all those things you already had learned about it. Even still, if you have any doubt, so kindly write in the comment section below the particular topic or particular question, particular query. So I would again explain the particular topic which you have doubt. Stay tuned. Thank you so much. In the next video, we'll begin a new chapter in geography. Thank you so much.